A very special thank you to everybody who tunes in to the Justin Podcast. And I also want to give a special thanks to all my sponsors.
Now you can buy your parts online and pick up your order in any O'Reilly Auto Parts store. No shipping costs, convenient pickup, and easy returns. Shop your way at O'ReillyAuto.com.
Auto Parts.
He's considered to be the greatest announcer in XTV history. And now, Justin Turkeyleg brings his famous voice along with his awesome friends to the podcast world. This is Justin's Podcast.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Justin's Podcast. Yeah, we locked and loaded, rolling sound, and this ought to be a good one. Busy week in XTV. You guys hear me say that a whole lot, but that's a good thing. You know what I mean? That's a good thing. As long as it's a lot going on, and it's a lot to talk about. That means that we rolling smooth. I want to open up with talking about AOA's Warzone that took place just recently. Stellar card. I talked with J&W Boss before the pay-per-view went down, and he told me, he said, "Hey, don't expect much from this pay-per-view." You know what I mean? This is his fast lane. But I think that the way it was executed, it was definitely very relieving, because every now and again, I started to shaking, man, and I need my fix. I need my AOA fix. Give me something. Give me AOR. Give me something. Throw me a bone here. And so that's what I felt like. This was, solid show. It streamed. I should say it premiered. I think it was last Friday night. Pretty good show. Opened up with Trish Stratus versus Lita, going throwback. It's good to see that AOA is bringing back their women's division. And they opened the match. Solid performance. Lita coming out victorious up against Trish Stratus. And then we had Austin Wallace one-on-one up against Destry Talton. And, sometimes you know what's going to happen. Sometimes the finish. But in this one, I honestly did not know which way this would go. I felt like Austin Wallace might pick up the victory, chicken shit heel, and that's how he wrestled throughout this whole matchup. And if you look at it from, artistic standpoint, and from the standpoint of putting together a matchup, outstanding performance. But if you just take all of that out of it and just sit back and become a fan, fuck you, Wallace. Fuck you, Wallace. Austin Wallace retained after cheating his way through the entire matchup. Of course, assistance from Tony Woods outside the ring. Then up next, we had Aleister Black going one-on-one up against Lance from AOR. And, who are we kidding? I got to be honest. I can't say who are we kidding. Because I really thought that Lance actually had this matchup. I really did. I'm like, okay, he's fighting up against Aleister Black. You know what I'm saying? He's a WWE guy. There ain't no way in hell that Black is going to win this. And to my surprise, Lance got his shoulders pinned. So I don't know what the future holds for Mr. Andrew Lance, but it's looking like, he's still at the bottom, and he don't have to. I don't know what the hell he's gonna do. I mean, I was gonna say, he got to start from the bottom, but you're already at the bottom. Who has he beat? Why should we care about Andrew Lance? It's crazy. It's crazy. And, I mentioned Aleister Black being a WWE guy, but I was thinking with XTV logic. We beat up on WWE guys. If you ever see an XTV guy fighting up against a WWE guy, more than likely that WWE guy is there to do the job. But in these other leagues, that's not the case. And Aleister Black actually went over. What's the thinking behind that? That makes that very, very interesting. Up next, we had a 6-man tag matchup where we had the team of WMD along with Forsaken taking on Lucian and the Twisted Disciples. I believe that this was supposed to be an 8-man matchup, but Reaper and Chaos killed each other in that Chaos Reigns matchup. And so they were not there at ringside that night because of all the damage. And coming out victorious was actually WMD and Forsaken. So good job there. And then finally, we had, or not finally, but coming up after that was the, I say finally because it was my favorite match on the card. Angelina Spears versus Carolyn Amber. I was very happy to see Carolyn Amber pick up the victory. I was happy to see her become the new AOA Women's Champion because, she deserves it. She's come, a long way. She paid her dues. She's been on proven ground. She bided her time throughout that whole, AOA thing where they was trying to figure out their women's division. She came on over to NXTV. She's still doing her thing. NXTV still building these girls while, AOA has brought Carolyn back in and boom, she's got that women's championship. And that made me happy. That made me happy to see. Angelina had her time period, but I think it'd be cool to see what Carolyn does with this title reign. And like I said, a great performance. 2 very physical, dominant competitors, in Angelina and Carolyn. So interested in seeing how things progress with that. I know Mr. Pac-Man probably ain't too happy. Well, damn, who stole my damn Trinity Fritos? Up next was the main event. It was Jay Morgan versus Darren Talton. One thing about it, that you're gonna get a great match out of these two. It's gonna be amazing. But let me just tell you, I knew. And look, we know we see what's happening. Right? We watch NXTV. We watch AOA. We know what's happening with Jay Morgan. We know he going through it. You know what I mean? We know that it would be such a big heroic win for him if if he was to win this. But brother like me, and a lot of the smart people out there. That's right. We smart. We hip to AOA. We know damn well that if anybody is going to take that AOA strap from Darren Talton, it sure as hell ain't going to be Jay Morgan. And I say that with all respect. Then, of course, at the end, not to be outshined, Andrew Lance comes back out and he gets a one-up on the champion, leaving him, in the middle of the ring. And, I think that Lance still has to have his matchup. Yeah, I don't think that they fought each other. Lance still has to meet up against Darren Talton because he won the Ultimate Mission Battle Royal. All right, so we still got to have that, and I think that's what that was all about. If I ain't getting my timeline wrong, of course, I'm good for that, and if I am, I hear about it. So that's pretty much it on the AOA side. Recently, in sort of /HTV/GPW news, I don't know if I mentioned this last week. I know that we had Raylan. I know I talked about Raylan being a part of that, and I know that she had won the right to be in GPW. And then she had won a #1 contenders match. And that was in order for her to be in a 8-woman battle, not a battle royal, but an 8-woman elimination matchup. Okay, can you wrap your mind around that? 8 people in the ring, and you have to survive. And guess what? She did. On AI. I had sent a text to Duke. I mean, not Duke, but well, it might as well have been Duke. Duke Zender from GPW. I said, hey man, cause their whole show is AI simulated. I told him, you can't fix that. Cause it's always people in there. Oh, I was cheated. Oh, I was screwed. Oh, this junk fixed. How? How, Sway? But it was some big names in that matchup too. Uh, One lady I got my eye on is Bad Amy. Kill Amy, kill. You know, way over babyface. You should see, the people go crazy in the live chat anytime Amy comes out. But once Amy was eliminated, then it just came down to it, and it was a girl by the name of Jada uh, that was in the final 2 with Raylan. Don Carr, who's my special guest today, she was also in this matchup. I think we're gonna talk a little bit about that. This what I'm talking about actually took place before me and Don spoke, so you gotta keep that in mind. But Raylan won, man. She is the new GPW United States Women's Champion. It's quite remarkable, and it makes me think. I was just talking about Carolyn Amber just a moment ago, and how she's back. The women's division has started, and they strong. And she's looking strong. She's the champion. They put the championship on her. Over here at GPW, Raylan comes in, as a part of GPW, and it's like soon as she came in, I mean, and she earned her stripes. She done lost a couple matches, but in no time, I mean, she's got gold around her waist. And with that being said, she's got a target on her back. But it makes me think that I mean, what are we doing with our women? Are we delaying our opportunity here in XTV? I don't know, in comparison. Just a question. Just a question. Um, Coming up this weekend, or, maybe it's past already, well, depending on when you listen to this. But April 6th, XTV presents the greatest WrestleMania. Big time dream matches. This took place actually last week, the same day that Raylan won that championship. This event took place. So it won't be live. It's actually advertised to come out, like I said, April 6th. And so, yeah, Raylan's there in the main event. She's going to be going up against Yosi. Dream match. Yosi coming out of retirement just to have this matchup for her fans. And, just imagine that. I mean, Raylan having to fly from the GPW venue and make it to the Citrus Bowl to be in the main event in her hometown in front of all these fans for the greatest WrestleMania. What a day she had, right? Other big matches. Bob Classic is supposed to meet Johnny Money, and yeah, it's a match card over there on XTV World. Check it out whenever you get a chance to. Let's see what else is there. I knew there was something else. Well, since I can't think of it, and I know it's gonna come to me, and it's gonna bother me. I'm gonna be like, damn, that's what I was supposed to say. But since I can't, and I'm caught with my pants down, I'm just gonna go ahead and move this show along. Well, I gotta say, I got a real soft spot for this segment. As you may be able to tell, this month in history. Or should I say, this month in XTV history. I should specify. This month in XTV history, 1 year ago, on the XTV World Channel, we had the hilarious Wales versus Howard. And, I haven't watched that since it goes back. Anytime we have like a show like, East Meets West or something like that, the laughs just keep coming. Or, maybe if it's a match that's just so funny, and so off the wall, I hold that for reserve. When I feel like, it was just like, laugh out loud funny. I hold on to those and I don't watch them. I just store those up and leave them in the back of my mind. And then one day I'll just go back and if I ever want to laugh, I know exactly where to go. And I can assure you, ladies and gentlemen, that with Howard and Wells, and for that matter, any member of the Man faction, you can never go wrong. That was the April the 1st, 2018. April 2nd, 2017, we had the first time that Nicki Minaj went up against Miss J, or Yosi, as you have come to know her. Here's a time where it's early in the morning, right? It's probably an early Saturday morning, I want to say. And it's shining bright, and we just got 2K17 maybe in March. Yeah, probably in March, or nah, maybe in February. I want to say February. I want to say we got it in February. NXTV launched in March, and by April, everything was up and running. So it's like a day, and we just going through, the download section that we didn't know existed because, for some reason, like we didn't have all the options available because, like you got to have the internet to be able to go into downloads. So for some reason, we hadn't hooked up the internet to the PlayStation just yet. And once this was done, then a lot more options were revealed to us, including the downloads, where we saw for the first time all these people, all these celebrities, and comic book stars, and who do we run into? Nick. And I don't know what it was about seeing Nikki, but everybody went ape shit. And I don't know what it is about Nikki. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is about her. It could have been I don't know, Harley Quinn. You know what I'm saying? Anybody. But Nikki, the ninja, was downloaded on that day, and we said, oh snap, we got something here. And we couldn't wait to see what would happen if Nikki would fight up against Yosi. And a one-off, that's all it was. That's all that match was supposed to be, ever. And it took place right here on HTV East Coast. And I'll just leave it at that. The rest is history. On April 8th, 2017 was the West Side Tribute. Something that the East Coast had put together. Of course, Tony B, who was the mind behind XTV West, celebrates April 10th. And we put together something for him. It was huge. This was huge. I mean, it was so fun. It was almost like it was my birthday. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, they wasn't even there. It was we was just putting on a show for them that they can later, experience and enjoy. But we actually lived it. And I'm talking about Rihanna was there. She over there on stage. She's singing in between the matches. All the pizza you can eat. This was a real party, and it was the coming out party for, I believe, Johnny Money and Ricky Enziguri. They started things out. We hadn't quite figured out, what to do with NXTV. This was an NXTV/XTV card. And, man, it was so long ago, I don't even remember what the main event was. Might have been Tars versus Trap, or, I don't know. It was something good. I can assure you it was something good. Speaking of April 8th, how about this? Our good friend J&W Boss, April 8th. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Episode 8 of AOA. That went down April 10th, 2017, in a 2-part episode. And this would have been a month before, XTV and AOA would become tight like this. Y'all can't see what I'm doing because it's a podcast, but I got my fingers crossed. We like this. Speaking of J&W Boss, 1 year ago, April 12th, 2018, the first ever Worlds Collides event Took place at the Worlds Collide Arena. Of course, created by J&W Boss himself. Myself and Terry Williams had toured that place before. All those people filled up the building, and it was a big deal. You can feel it. I was in that. I got the chills right now talking about it. I'm in that facility, looking around, knowing that this is going to go down, knowing that history is going to be made, knowing that no matter who watches this and no matter who doesn't watch this, we are making history. And it's going to continue. It's going to grow bigger and bigger and bigger. You watch how big it is this year, because they're talking about doing it this year. I'm going to just leave it at that. April 29th, 2017, XTV versus WWE. Another one of our early ventures in pay-per-view on the 2K17 game. This had Alicia Fox versus Miss Foxy Hot in a rematch. They tried to recapture what they did at a house show, and they did that. They damn sure did it. It's always hard to recapture the magic. I don't know if you guys have ever tried to, do something like that. Like you have this great match that nobody sees, and so you try to put it on TV, and you put put two people out there or whatever the case, and you try to you tell them, hey man, y'all will do that again. It doesn't always happen. Is my point, but Alicia Fox and Roxanne Smith, aka Miss Foxy Hot, absolutely did great, and had a hell of a matchup. I think that was the night that Bob lost to Goldberg. Yeah, that was the day that Yaki wrestled against Nakamura. Big show. I mean, this was crazy. It was a feeling. It was a feel. I'm trying to tell you. Oh, my bond. April 5th, 2012, 7 years ago, I hosted On the Spot, which was something that I put together on my own right here on XTV East Coast. I came up with it, it was post bricks, and I just wanted to do something that was original and something different. Kind of like, it's a little bit like that show, The Latest in XTV, which my daughter now is she doing her thing over there. Hey, Laisha. But, yeah, I would bring in guests. I brought in King Kong at the time. He was dating Isabella. I brought in Beast for a segment. We did all kind of cutaways and, in studio stuff. Just coming off the head. And, with very little tools to work with. I was animated. And, yeah, this would take a whole lot of, work and time and effort to put together. But, does it stand today? Maybe a couple things. Maybe a couple of those segments you'll get a chuckle out of. But I promise you, at the time, it was hot shit. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. This your boy Ernest Justin Turkey Leg, and that is this month in history. I've been looking forward to this all week. I'm sitting here talking with the lovely Miss Dawn Carr of GPW. How you doing, Dawn?
Hi, Justin. How are you? I've been looking forward to it as well.
Oh, I'm doing good, man. Definitely good to hear your voice. You're such a busy woman. I'm even surprised that I was even able to get time. But great to have you here on the show. Great to have you as a part of XTV. Here in XTV, Don, we've been watching you and Duke Zender probably since about 2017.
Yeah, I've worked with XTV, before everything really started getting heated up, over the past few months, I guess, or I guess for pretty much 2019. In spurts, we would, stop in and check out XTV and, do some bookings and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been like a slow process, like you just kind of pointed out. I mean, I remember we spotted Duke Zender because, we was looking for this guy named Xander Zane. And, he was actually on one episode of NXTV, this guy Xander Zane, and certain guys, we look for, to squash, if I can be completely transparent.
Yeah, I get it.
We look for guys to get squashed because, we trying to get our own stars over. But, a lot of those guys we actually like, so we try to bring them back. And so in this process of looking for Xander Zane, we ended up finding Duke Zender. And, Duke has, been back and forth, in and out, erased off the game, brought back to the game, simply, for that purpose. Of course, we had him start out in the proving grounds.
Yeah.
But, it was, it was inevitable. I mean, he kept on coming back, and it's like, that works in a creative wrestler's favor, being on community creations. And not only, staying on there, but, continuing to reinvent yourself. And that's something that Duke absolutely has done, and, we've seen him do that, in many, many, different leagues.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the way he thinks. Like, he's just like the type of guy who, if he's in a situation and things aren't going the way he, really wants them to, then, he knows how to look inside himself and, see what problems need to be fixed. And, I think that's, one of his greatest strengths. And that's what's, caused him to be, so successful.
Touche. I kind of want to, kind of go back, though, before we start to get into all of this HTV stuff, because, I remember on a episode of Monday Night Twitch it was, and this is during the time you were sort of going through your feud with Jessica B.
Oh God.
Great entertaining stuff, by the way.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely, it was real good. It was absolutely fun to watch. But way before that, I kind of want to get an idea. It was on that show that. They was asking, somebody said, who is Don Carr, and I was like, damn, I forgot that, everybody don't know who you are.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and I guess, I didn't take it personal or anything. Like, I kind of expected that, it was like pretty much, me, I guess, kind of easing my way in, it was definitely big. I don't even remember the match.
I think you wrestled up against Jessica B that night.
Right. Yeah, it was that, but I mean, it's not something that I would take personal.
But
she's worked with us too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's been in. She was in GPW like at the beginning of the last season. Yeah, so it's like she's been through there.
I did not know that. Well, I'm just kind of wondering, because maybe, I was thinking to myself, we don't know who Don Carr is. You know what I'm saying? And Duke Zender as well. And, you guys have been here now. You're part of the XTV family. You know what I'm saying? And, I just kind of wonder, how did you and Duke meet? And, tell us a little bit about, about you guys.
Sure. Well, myself and Duke met when we were young. I was, first of all, I was born in Little Rock. I was born in Arkansas. And, as a young girl, I ended up moving to Houston. And that's pretty much, where things all began. Because, I became like real close friends with Duke and his family, and we pretty much went through all the we went to all the same schools together and stuff like that, and we just had like a pretty tight clique. Like, it was myself, it was Duke, it was Rich, we called him Azrael, and then our friend Diane. But, Duke also has a sister named Diane, so, there's that.
You guys, I guess, went all to the same school?
Yeah, throughout, our whole, young lives, we pretty much just went to the same schools. We were huge wrestling fans. We loved wrestling. We loved watching wrestling. Like on the weekends or whatever, we always watched it together. That was kind of like our thing, you know what I mean? Like that was like our bond, and like anytime the shows would come to Houston, like, Duke's dad would like pretty much just get us like, the best seats.
That's Silas Zender, ladies and gentlemen. Silas.
Yeah. And, he, cause he's like, super rich and like, he had all this money and, he could just, he just gave, Duke anything he needed, anything he wanted, he pretty much had, he didn't want for anything, and it was good being his friend because, yeah, there's a lot of perks coming with that.
I can imagine.
But yeah, so yeah, I mean, we just pretty much, were just a tight core, myself and, Diane and Duke, and Azrael, and we just pretty much would, just do what friends did, do what kids did. We all grew up together. Went to middle school, went to high school, and like really throughout all that time, Duke was like, he's not who like people think that he is. Like, I mean, like what you see on TV, like, I mean, because I don't really know what people's perception of him is, but like when he was young, I'll just say, like he was really, kind of just short-tempered, and like, he was like that for a long time, and he's really calmed down a lot.
That's crazy, because, I mean, the Duke that we see nowadays, is all laid back, chill, the money man.
Right. And, it was a different story, but, on the same token, like with his dad being so well known, he was like, I guess like a target. Like he had people, hating on him. People just did not like him, and he would get into all kinds of fights. People thinking that he's like, just the rich kid gets everything he wants, and I mean, because he went to regular schools. His dad, made sure that he didn't grow up like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And he got in fights like a lot, like every day. It was just crazy, especially in high school. And I remember like one morning, like we pull up to school, and like this kid Chad, like just like this big ass dude too, just like talking shit. I mean, he's like, I'm talking about like a big dude, like a big, like fat dude, like, and imagine like he's like 500 pounds, and yeah, like he's like talking shit, and like on the way to school, like the whole time Duke's like, I don't feel like going to school, because I don't know if I mentioned, but like he had just gotten the fight like the night before, like on some other shit, like he came back, and like I didn't even know about it, but I had met with him like prior in the night.
Yeah.
And he just told me about some more dudes just hating and whatever, you know what I mean, and Diane would fix him up, because at the time they were dating.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, him and Diane Anderson, the girl I was telling you.
Right.
They were actually dating, so yeah, we fixed him up, patched him up, and the next day though, like we're riding to school, and he's like, yeah, I got a headache, I don't even want to be here. I'm like, let's just get through this, you know what I'm saying? We're just gonna go to class, and then like, yeah, like first thing in the morning, like before we even got to school, like before we even got in the building, like out in the parking lot, we pull up, park, and like this dude Chad, like, is just like talking all this shit, and he's pointing at him and all this, and like Duke just went fucking haywire. Like he just snapped on this dude, and everybody like, like took off like pow pow, like he just like snapped out of nowhere, like just punched the guy out, and it was just like it was crazy, and like we went on to school, like we just like went on, and went through the day.
Introducing the Edible Bubbles Kit. Use your favorite delicious drink to blow tasty bubbles that are designed to be devoured. Each bottle is partially filled with a non-toxic bubble solution.
Wow.
Simply add your favorite beverage to the mix, gently shake, and use the enclosed bubble wand to start creating your own floating flavored treats. Get your kit today for only $11.99. To order your kit, just call 1-800-476-1991.
War is hell, but so is stringing multiplayer levels together into a credible storyline.
I've got a serious level 5 black-grade continuity problem. We're in the rainforest. The UN. I'm going in. Out. Clear.
Blue team, we're taking a lot of hits. The screen's getting all red and nobody's ordered the DLC.
Righteous Slaughter 7. The video game features levels like Cluttered Warehouse, African Rebellion, Polar Nonsense, Desert Surprise. Innovative levels like nothing you've played before, including the surprise space level we won't talk about
Until the game comes out.
Righteous Slaughter 7. The identical art of contemporary killing.
How do you kill?
Rated PG. Pretty much the same as the last game.
But I want to know, how you guys ended up getting together though, because it's like.
Well, we got together in high school. It was actually at a dance because, like I said, Duke was dating Diane at the time, and during high school, but like they were together like for a short period of time, and I would I just like because like throughout the whole time, like I always had a crush on Duke, but like we were just friends, and I don't know, I guess I was just like too afraid or too shy or whatever. And it was senior year in high school, and we were at a dance, and I just told him how I felt, and because it was something that I thought about like forever, like for a long time. But I guess I was just too afraid to come out and say it.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
It's very rare that it's the female. Though.
Yeah. But I just told him how I felt because I was about to go off to college, and I just I just didn't know what the future had for me.
Yeah, I read that you went to NYU. You were Violet.
Yep. Go Violets. But yeah, so yeah, and pretty much that's how, we hit it off. Like I said, we were, inseparable pretty much for our whole lives. And high school is like when we really, made it official. And yeah, we've been together ever since.
Well, you mentioned that, you went off to college, and it's crazy because, at least in my head, I'm thinking that, you guys probably together for the rest of high school, and, that love is there, but, how tough must that be for some young kids, high school age or college age, freshman year, to have to split with each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was crazy. Because Diane also ended up moving too. Like she ended up leaving, and she went off to college, and I went off as well. And so like we were splitting, and it's like we knew that it was gonna happen. It sucked. We talked about it all the time. But it was inevitable, our lives were changing, and we had to move on. And it was rough, but everything just took off from there. Like crazy. It was like clockwork. Like he ended up, training in wrestling school at the Paradigm Wrestling Club, where his dad ended up just paying for that, and him and Azrael became like really great wrestlers, and they got accepted to be a part of PWA, which was CM Puma's original federation. Now it's called SWF.
Oh yeah, the Southern Wrestling Federation. I think we had a star or two go over there.
Yeah, they're really good. And he was going under the name JBL Jr. at the time, and he just took off. I mean, he wrestled in the tournament. He became a Badger State Wrestling first ever Great Lakes champion. He was their Great Lakes champion and their heavyweight champion, at the same time. And he wrestled at Badger State Wrestling's WrestleMania against CM Puma, and that was like a huge match and a big accomplishment. And I was just like in New York, like wow. And it was during this time that like I really started to get a thirst for wrestling. Like, he made me want to wrestle, just watching him and watching the things that he was doing. Like, it was so amazing.
Yeah, that is pretty mind-blowing to jump right out of wrestling school and be so successful.
Yeah, he was very successful. He had a knack for it, I think. It's like I said, we all were huge wrestling fans. So, I think that when you grow up watching wrestling, at least to me, in my perspective, it's like you're kind of studying it. It's like I think it comes more natural to a person who was actually watching wrestling and seeing the moves repeatedly, as opposed to somebody who didn't grow up watching wrestling, who it just doesn't the psychology doesn't necessarily click with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that make perfect sense. Because it all does start in your mind, mentally, and so it's like you said there, repeatedly seeing people run the ropes. I mean, now it is a completely different thing when you actually do it.
Oh, trust me, it is. But I mean, you get what I mean, though.
Yeah, of course. You understand what the end goal is, as opposed to having to be told what it was.
And sometimes we get girls like that didn't come up watching wrestling, but they just like what they see on TV, and they think that it's easy, or that they can do this, and it's tough.
They say right here that Duke Zenda started GPW when Diane Anderson came back with her father, along with Silas and Azrael in late 2016, where Duke had several female managers, Cameron, Jessica Dunn, and Alexa Bliss. I mean, kind of talk about that time period, and you guys being sort of away from each other, because like you said, you watching this all take place from afar, and just kind of take us through, what that must have been like.
Really, really hard. It's like I said, Duke, all throughout high school, he always had, girls, around him, he was just that guy, you know what I mean?
He was Zach Morris, for the Saved by the Bell fans.
Yeah, like he's just like, the guy, he was always very popular. And, he just carries that with him. And I think that really, stands out. Like, that really shows, it's really expressed. That's why, like, so many leagues are interested in having him. But, I mean, yeah, like I said, it was tough, and we kept in contact. We always talked, or at least texted, or, whatever. But, it was tough, like, he was flying in, from time to time, and like, we would see each other, so that would help. He'd stay at my apartment,
Yeah, I would imagine, I mean, for such a young couple, for such young, people, and in such a crucial time, in life, I would imagine that was just like, one of the hardest things.
Yeah, it really was. And I don't know. We just. I think it was the fact that we communicated so often. Um, that's why like we were able to make it work. Um, and like he just. We were. It's like. I felt like I always felt like we just were meant to be together. I think that we were just meant to be with each other because there's nobody else that I really look at that way, and he's expressed the same feelings about me, and that we trust each other, and I think that that's kind of what it comes down to.
I believe that wholeheartedly. You know, trust is a huge thing, and that's a hell of an obstacle uh, to overcome. But I mean, even just with you, looking on and seeing Duke B, with all these different managers, it says here, Cameron, who was once a part of I think she was a Funkadactyl, right?
Yeah, her and Naomi.
Yeah, Jessica Dunn, Alexa Bliss, and people like that.
Yeah, and like it was extra hard, to watch him be on TV and be in these love angles. Um, but he would always tell me like, yeah, they're gonna have me do this or that. It's like, you know, I would have to just be like, I know, it's your job, and I never wanted to step in the way, of his passion. Like I never wanted to be in the way. I always just wanted to support him, and it's like I said though, it's like I had to trust him, I felt like I had to trust him, and I just trusted him to do what he did, and I would even like talk to the girls, and things like that, so that kind of softened things, but it still was what it was. But I mean, there was like really no issues over that.
And I got that, here at the time, Duke was working for 3 different wrestling organizations.
Yeah, it was SWF. He worked for GPW and IIW.
So that makes him a very, very busy man.
Yeah, he stayed busy.
But that says a whole lot about you, that that you went to NYU. I was looking up NYU, and they say that it's like a 32% acceptance rate.
Yeah, they turn away more people than they accept. I was thrilled. I didn't think I was gonna get in. Like I didn't think that it was really possible for me, but I did, and it was tough.
It's a different world, ooh, from where you come from, from where you come from. Any of y'all, any different world fans? I know I'm showing my age. That's '90s stuff though, early '90s stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely, an experience.
What was Duke, jealous of you? Or like, at least curious about, like you being in different relationships and things like that.
I don't think so. I never felt like he was, because it's like I said, like we talked so much and so often, or like at least texted, and if I wasn't texting him, I'm watching what he's doing on TV, like, we stayed on each other's mind, like, and we just, we really communicated a lot. We talked a lot, in some way, shape, or form, or in one way or another. So like, no, I don't really think that there was any issues, and I was so focused on what I was doing, like that was the last thing that was on my mind. You know what I mean? Like, I was just focused on, just maintaining and, just getting through college and graduating.
And say here that you graduated with your master's degree and moved to Houston to train for wrestling.
Yeah, I went to the same school as Duke, and I ended up training, same trainer and everything, and I debuted like a year later, and Duke brought me in as his protege. And, around that time, he was like sort of having a hard time in his life because, he had lost the Badger State Wrestling Championship, and he lost the World Heavyweight Championship. And, he just had a string of losses, and, he was just really trying to figure out, how should he reinvent himself. And, he just, really came up with becoming, just being himself, because he started to feel like, maybe the whole JBL Junior thing wasn't really working anymore, and that it had grown stale. And so he just came out as himself, Duke Zenda. And, he just like, I don't know, he just like really took everything, to a 10. Like to a whole different level, he became a different person, and it was really startling.
It's crazy that you say that because it's like suddenly after a string of losses, all of a sudden, you come back into his life, and it's almost like you sort of revitalized, rejuvenated, Duke Zenda. It's almost like you made him remember who he was. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
I mean, it's just the way I see it. I mean, just think about that. How coincidental is that he goes over to be this wrestler, and then the woman from his childhood just comes back, his best friend basically.
Yeah.
Comes back into his life, and revitalizes everything, and so he just. He remembers who he is. I mean, because that's how it is with my wife. You know what I mean? It's just like, and that's why I say that. It's like because, you realized, and that's why they say, the old saying, a person's better half. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was just really proud of him. I've always been very proud of him. And I just hope that he just continues to just grow. I mean, it's just fun watching him in action and just seeing what he does. It's just phenomenal.
As far as you though, and your in-ring career, where do you feel like you sort of land in the whole grand spectrum of things?
I mean, I do all right. I became Miss Money in the Bank. And I wrestle like in a few different leagues. So obviously somebody wants me.
Most definitely.
So yeah, I mean I feel like I do fine. We've got Do or Die coming up. GPW's Do or Die. I'm gonna be in a 8-woman elimination match. My girl Raylan. We might have to be a face-off, unfortunately.
Oh, that's crazy, man. Like Don Carr and Raylan hooking up in GPW. I mean, when I seen this take place on screen, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like this is really happening.
Yeah, it gives us, both something to do. We know each other from backstage in the locker room, so, they saw it as a perfect fit. Over in NXTV, we know each other from there, of course. And, they just seen it as a perfect fit since, that's what I do anyways. Like, when new girls come in, I'm usually like the first person that they work with, and that's kind of like, the barometer. And so here with Raylan, since we have, the NXTV background together, then we just were put together, as like a duo, it's sort of like a kind of protege type of student sort of thing.
You know, and I'm looking forward to seeing you know, how that eight women's title match turns out, man. I mean, I'm surprised that, you know, Raylan even made it this far in GPW. She's in a title match, for God's sakes.
Yeah, I mean, you know, she's good. You know, she's a veteran in NXT TV, so you know, it's great to have her. You know, everything's been fun with her. You know, we're kind of joined at the hip. You know, she hasn't really connected with everybody in the locker room yet. I think it's still a process with that, but I mean, you know, she's doing fine.
Yeah, Raylan is like, you know, she's an interesting cat because it's like, you know, she very to herself. You know what I mean? And you know, that's why it's cool that, you know, that she really linked up with you and that she doing all this other stuff, you know, outside, you know, outside of XTV, because, you know, she really, you know, kind of, you know, you know, at least from my estimation, what I've seen, you know, a bit reclusive. You know, she don't really like to stay up on community creations. You know, she don't like to get a lot of downloads and stuff. You know, it's just weird. And, you know, I noticed you and Duke, you know, you guys just hang around like, yeah, man, we up in here.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know, she's pretty outgoing to me. You know, like, you know, we hang out a lot actually. You know, even on our off time. And I guess, you know, she probably just is the type of person that maybe is you know, like she just has like her clique, you know, like her friends, you know, her people.
Yeah, I suppose. With Duke Zenda, you know, being one of the main men running GPW. I mean, you know, anytime he comes into the live chat, you know, he comes in under GPW. And you know, I'm wondering, you know, with that being the case, you know, I guess that you would be, you know, a member of the board as well.
Yeah, you know, pretty much my role is I'm just a I pretty much just handle you know, the female talent. You know, that's pretty much my department. You know, as far as like coaching and training and developing, mentoring, or whatever really, you know, is said. And that's pretty much my role. You know, it's like several of us on the board. It's great, you know, where life has taken us. You know, it's like, because it's us four again. I mean, you know, along with others, but, you know, me, you know, Diane, you know, because she ended up coming back as well. She was one of the ones who, you know, helped, you know, build GPW back in 2016. And Azrael as well, you know, he's sort of, you know, taken like more of a, like, you know, semi-retired kind of role, I guess we could say. And, yeah, it's just, it's been great. It's been, you know, great watching, you know, Duke grow and, you know, our relationship grow and seeing everything grow, being a part of XTV, you know, I have a role in like XPW as well. So, I mean, everything has just been tremendous over the past few years.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. You know, before we get out of here, I just wanted to, you know, ask you about working with Miss Foxy.
Oh my God.
You know, I know she kooky, but you know, how has things been working with Foxy?
I absolutely love Foxy. She's so fun, and, you know, she's another friend. You know, she actually, you know, came up and made me feel really comfortable, because, like, I was never, you know, in NXTV.
Right.
So, like, they pulled me from Proving Grounds straight to, you know, XTV, and I'm like, oh, okay, you know, and, you know, they put me with Foxy, because they saw that I was just by myself. I wasn't really clicking with anybody. Nobody really knew who I was, and yeah, I was kind of like the loner girl, and Foxy, she just kind of noticed me, and she just really embraced me, and she's been great.
That girl crazy as hell.
She is crazy, but she's funny though. She knows she's crazy.
Oh my gosh. Did you hit a Don Carr song?
I did. I loved it.
Oh my goodness, that annoyed so many people here in XTV. Well, look, thank you so much, Don Carr, for spending this time with me here on Justin's podcast.
Anytime. I love to come back again.
Absolutely been great. Don Carr is a part of, as you mentioned, GPW and XPW, along with XTV. And GPW shows drop every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, of course, unless otherwise specified. And of course, you guys hold pay-per-views on Sundays, unless you guys want to hold it on a specific day. But shout out to GPW, and thanks again, Don.
Thank you, Justin. I'm glad you had me on here. This has really been fun.
Great catching up with Don Carr. Don Carr. Y'all wouldn't believe it, man. There we are. It's a group of us driving. We driving through Charlotte County, right? It's like me, Howard, Yosi. It's a bunch of us, and Foxy, and B-Boy, and Sketch was there. It's like several of us in a van, and we making our rounds. Putting out our flyers and stuff like that. That's right. We do it old school, man. And Foxy just, she in the back, and she, keep on replaying this damn Rihanna song. And, she asking us, how's this? Because she felt all bad that her and Don Carr teamed up. And, she caused Don Carr to have her first loss. And she thought Don Carr was going to be mad at her. And she run around, and before that even happened, she run around, hey, man, what song you think I should sing to Don Carr? I'm going to make a remix. What you think? Everybody, let's leave us the hell alone. And then when she actually created the song, she annoyed even more people. But see, y'all don't have to deal with this. We live around Foxy, you see? She around us all the time. And she always coming up with this shit. I made a song for you. God bless her. Thank you again to Don Carr for stopping through. I really enjoyed our conversation. Hopefully we can get Duke Zender here sometime soon. It was supposed to actually be Duke Zender and Don Carr, but Duke wasn't available. He's a busy man. He's a very, very busy man. I mean, he runs his own company, and he's still at the same time a part of yet other companies. He's doing big things, man. I'm telling you. Watch out for Duke Zender, because he's gonna be something to talk about, and hopefully, in the very near future, we can get Duke on Justin's podcast, and talk a little bit about some of those things that Don Carr had enlightened us with. You can follow Don Carr on Twitter at dcar_GPW. Also follow her boyfriend, DZender_GPW. I want to make it clear that that's her boyfriend, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Now I know they tight, and I know that eventually they probably will get married. But they not married. Okay? Ain't nobody tell your ass that they was married. So I don't know who the hell got railing up there telling people that they are a married couple, because they ain't. I saw that episode. Just wanted to point that out. I want to point out the fact that AVW is going to be on the Four-Sided Podcast coming up this weekend. It's WrestleMania week at the Four-Sided Podcast. You can check him out over there with J&W Boss and Connor Young. They getting things crunked back up over there. It should definitely be a fun listen. There's always a fun listen with those guys at the Four-Sided Podcast. AEW also been making his rounds. He was on Third Strike's State of the Universe Hey, man, that's my opinion. Hey, that's my opinion, man. That's my ABW impression. Hey, that's what I think. That's what I think about it. Check out Third Strike. He does great logos. You know what I mean? So give him a holler. He hooked us up with the XTV World logo. So just saying. Next week on Justin's podcast, I'm thinking about doing something solo. You know what I mean? I think I'm going with no guests. But I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do. But maybe I will have a guest. Who knows? I don't know what I'm doing. I never know what I'm doing. I was surprised that I was able to line up B-Boy and Sketch and deliver that. And then I had somebody before that I don't remember. Oh yeah, that was an old episode. I bet you they playing the music right now. Y'all can't make me get off, okay? There's only so much track you got. But anyways, if you haven't checked out B-Boy and Sketch, go check that out. Shout out to Don Carr again. Thank you for coming by. Thank you, the viewer. The listener, for tuning in and hitting that play button. From the bottom of my heart, I appreciate it. And that's pretty much it, man. I got some more work to do. You know how it is, man. It's a steady grind. This just another one in the can, and there's more in demand. So with that being said, it's nighttime, and I'm in the beautiful Sunshine State. Coming all the way from down here saying, so long, everybody!